Teradyne TER Beginner's Guide. Every AI chip that ends up inside a data center, the kind of chip that runs ChatGPT or trains a self-driving car or powers your phone's camera, has to be tested before it ships. And there are basically two companies on Earth that build the machines that do that testing. One of them is Teradyne. Today we are going to walk through what Teradyne actually does, who it competes with, and why this company has quietly become one of the most important picks and shovels names in the AI boom. As always, this is educational, not investment advice, just a beginner's guide to the business. So, what does TER actually do? Teradyne is headquartered in North Reading, Massachusetts, and it brought in about $3.2 billion in revenue in 2025. The business has three segments. The biggest one, by a mile, is semiconductor test. It did about $2.5 billion last year, roughly 79% of the whole company. This segment builds giant testing machines, called AT, automatic test equipment, which is just a fancy name for big, room-sized boxes that chip companies use to check whether every single chip coming off the production line actually works. Inside semiconductor test, there are a few subcategories. There is SoC test. SoC means system on chip, the kind of chip that combines a processor, memory, and graphics on a single piece of silicon. That covers AI accelerators, mobile phone chips, and automotive chips. There is memory test. That's testing the memory chips that sit next to AI chips, especially something called HBM, high bandwidth memory, which is the very fast memory glued onto AI GPUs. And there is something called IST and SLT, system-level test, where the chip is tested in a setup that mimics how it will actually be used in a real product, like a phone or a hard drive. The second segment is product test, about $360 million, or 11% of revenue. This one tests other electronic things, circuit boards, defense and aerospace electronics, wireless gear, and a niche but cool category called photonics, which is testing chips that move data using light instead of electricity. The third segment is robotics, about $310 million, or 10%. Teradyne owns a company called Universal Robots that makes collaborative robots, cobots, which are small robotic arms designed to work safely next to humans on factory floors, and AMRs, autonomous mobile robots, basically self-driving carts for warehouses. So the picture is a giant semiconductor test business with two smaller side businesses around it. So who does TER compete with, and how does it win? Teradyne's main competitor is a Japanese company called Advantest. And between the two of them, they have about 85% of the global market for SoC test equipment. That is what is called a duopoly, two players with almost all the market. The flat report rates Teradyne's moat. Moat is just the competitive advantage that keeps other companies from catching up, as narrow. Here is why it's a moat, but only a narrow one. When a chip company like NVIDIA or a major foundry wants to test a new chip, they spend 12 to 18 months working hand in hand with the test equipment maker to design and qualify the test program. Once that work is done, switching to a different test machine is incredibly painful. You'd have to redo all that qualification. So there are high switching costs, which means it's expensive and disruptive to leave. That's the moat. The reason it's only narrow, not wide, is that market share between Teradyne and Advantest can swing around on big technology transitions. When the industry moves to a new kind of chip, like HBM memory or new AI GPUs, the customer sometimes brings in the other vendor as a second source. So Teradyne's position is strong, but it isn't permanent. They also have something Advantest doesn't really match: end-to-end coverage from the wafer all the way to system-level test, plus photonics and robotics. That breadth matters to AI hyperscalers, companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google that build their own data centers, because they want fewer vendors and more reliability. What are the key drivers for the business over the past 5 years? The 5-year story for Teradyne is basically one word: AI. 2 years ago, AI compute was a rounding error in Teradyne's revenue mix. Today, it is roughly 70% of total revenue, and within the SoC test segment, compute chips are now 75% of product revenue. Historically, Teradyne's SoC business was dominated by mobile phone chips. Now it's dominated by AI chips. That is a structural shift, not just a cyclical bounce, meaning it's a permanent change in the customer mix, not just a temporary upcycle. The second growth driver is share gains in memory test. Teradyne has been winning business in HBM, the high-bandwidth memory that goes alongside AI GPUs, with a platform called Magnum 7. They are also picking up share in flash memory and in hard drive test, where they expect strength in the second half of 2026 as data centers buy massive amounts of storage to feed AI workloads. The third driver is margin recovery. Operating margin, which is the percent of every dollar of revenue that's left over as profit after running costs, collapsed during the 2022 to 2024 chip downturn, falling to about 14%. By early 2026, it had climbed back to 37%. That's a massive swing in profitability driven by higher volume, a better mix of AI chips, and tighter cost control. To wrap up, so when you boil it all down, Teradyne is one of two companies on the planet that builds the testing machines used to verify every AI chip before it ships, and that single position has reshaped the entire business in just 2 years. As a learner watching this stock, the things to keep your eye on are AI customer demand, the back-and-forth share battle with Advantest on new chip transitions like HBM, and how the universal robot side business evolves into logistics and physical AI. This was a beginner's guide to the business, educational only, not investment advice. Go do your own research.